D&D from A to Z. Spells for you and spells for me. We will see what we will see today. Locals galore and monsters roar. Nerds adore forevermore. Let's explore some ancient lore. Hey, hey. Hello, welcome. My name is Jordan Maywood and I am the Alphabetical DM. This show is one in which I will literally pour forth from my mind the meager video game. Jesus, I did it again. The meager role-playing game knowledge I have, such as it is, alphabetically, in a list, A to Z, for you, for me. On that note, I should say that things I will say will just about always be opinions. Yes. Some things that I say may be fact, but probably safe to assume, and I'm giving you permission to assume despite the fact that they say that's a very bad thing. I'm just sort of making this up as I go along. I may be good at D&D, but, you know, am I good enough for you to take everything I say as canon and really take it to heart and treat it as you have to do what I say? No, that's ridiculous. And although I like ridiculousness, Saucity, please don't do that. Let's move into our main subject. Shit. Barbarian. Yes. Okay, so what I decided to do, every other episode will be devoted to the main subject will be something that I'll have multiple episodes of. So in this case, class, obviously. So I'll do Barbarian, then I'll do Bard, and we'll go alphabetically. And then the in-between episodes will be sort of one-off subjects. Like the first one, if you watch that, you crazy person, was what is D&D? You know, why not do that for the first episode? Also, in the first episode, I explained a lot of stuff. I didn't explain this, which is why I'm doing so now. One thing I should mention is I got to this point a little bit further and realized I wasn't recording. So this is the second time I'm doing this, which, if you've ever done a podcast, a web series, or anything, things like that are going to happen, and they are not ideal. What is ideal is our Barbarian. Look at some of these guys. This tough, shirtless, real bad butts. See, not swearing. Okay, so we'll just scroll down a little bit. So there's not much compared to some of the other classes. Proficiency levels, rages, and rage damage. I guess that's why it needs a table. Rages and rage damage. So let's see what these numbers mean. 1d12 hit dice, so you're going to be very, you're going to be able to take a lot of hits, which is sort of what the point of a barbarian is. A damage sponge. It's not the point. That's not what I mean. It's something it excels at more than other classes, but, okay, rage. Primal. Bonus action, so that's nice. It means before I hit, I could say, I'm going into a rage, hit. That's kind of cool. If you aren't wearing heavy armor, oh, you know what, I thought it wasn't armor in general. So, you know what, this is good too, because I'm going to learn some stuff along the way with you. Advantage on strength checks, saving throw, bonus damage. So you don't have a bonus to be able to hit, but should you hit, you're going to do more damage than normal, so that's kind of cool. And resistance, so that means any of these three damage types that you receive going to be halved. So very good, because especially at early levels, probably the vast majority of the damage you take is going to fall into those three types, so that's good. If you're able to cast spells, you can't concentrate. Whew, man, that's an interesting build. If you have a barbarian that's able to cast spells, I wonder what would be a good mix there. I almost feel like sorcerer, maybe, because it's that sort of chaotic, anything could happen. Yeah. 1 minute. Turn ends if you hadn't an attack, so you have to attack or else it ends. Or take damage. And you can end it, again, as a bonus action. Okay, pretty good. That's where a lot of the fun, I think, happens with a barbarian. That just seeing red and going nuts and just beating the hell out of people. Unarmored defense, 10 plus dexterity plus constitution. That's pretty good. I wonder why they made it dexterity, though. I guess you kind of have to. This is similar to the monk, 10 plus dexterity plus wisdom for monk. So, could still use a shield, that's fine. Reckless attack. Okay, so this one's interesting. Basically, you could decide to swing wildly, which is how I almost picture all barbarian attacks. However, if you do that, you're more likely to hit, which is nice, but you're also opening yourself up to be hit, which is less nice. It's in a class that is probably not considered tactical per se compared to some of the other ones. Using and choosing when to use this ability is actually quite tactical. Like you don't want to do it when you're surrounded, probably, because that means all the attacks are going to get advantage on you, and you're probably going to get hit a lot. You probably want to use it when there's not many. You're up against someone very powerful, because that's a good opportunity to use it. And even if that powerful person is, you think, has been hit a bunch of times and is maybe near death, because that way you kill them and they're not going to have an attack against you because you've killed them. So it's sort of a tactical thought in an untactical class. Again, opinions. Danger sense, uncanny sense of where things are, dodge away from danger, dexterity saving throws. Okay, yeah, well, that's good. Benefit, can't be blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. That's cool. Can't be blinded, but what if you're in magical darkness? It's not like you could see through that. So I know that's the blinded condition. Oh, that's pretty handy that it pops up. So, take that with a great assault. Primal Path. What I decided to do for subclasses, which this is, for classes, we'll do separate episode for subclasses. Maybe what I'll do is we'll play that by ear, but definitely subclasses I'm going to keep separate from these, just to otherwise these class episodes will get huge, which we don't want huge episodes. We want medium episodes. Extra attack, always good. Yeah, not much there. Fast movement, that's fun, especially if you get. I wonder if you could a mix of a barbarian and a monk. Get those in some sort of multi-class. We'll do a multi-class episode at some point. I'm actually pretty against multi-class. I'm not a big fan of them, unless it can be justified, role-playingly, which is not a word. But with that extra speed plus the monk extra speed, you could maybe get some cool speed stuff involved there. Feral instincts, advantage on initiative rolls. Again, that's pretty good. And it's kind of strange because I'm learning things here as well as I read these. Like, I've read this a bunch of times, I'm sure, but never spoken out loud about it like this, because that would be insane to do. Not that I'm not. This is another sort of tactical thing. If you have advantage on initiative rolls, it means you're probably going to be first when attacking. It's very likely that'll be the case. And the first person to act in a combat quite often has the at least potential to be the most tactical about what they do. So kind of interesting. I never really thought of a barbarian as having these sort of tactical options. Brutal critical, just more damage. It's okay. Grievous wounds. This one's fun as well. It's almost like the undead fortitude in that you could be really, really close to death and still be able to fight, which, when you think of a barbarian, that sort of goes hand in hand quite well. Brutal critical, more damage again. If only choose to end it. Rage is so fierce that it ends early only if you fall. Okay, so this just gives your rage a little more potential to not end. Yeah, sure. Rage being one of your main things, that's a cool thing. Brutal critical, yeah, getting just more damage. Strength score, place to total. Yeah, that one's not great. Strength check is less than your strength score. So if your score is 18 and you roll a 2, you could say, okay, I rolled an 18. Yeah, there's some potential for that, I guess. At 18th level, though, How many strength checks are you doing? I feel like I guess it depends on the campaign very much, but in a high magic one, probably less of that. And level 21 Constitution increased by 4. So man, you're gonna be able to take a lot of hits. Um, all right, so if you listen to the first episode, you'll know I will be rating monster spells locations on a insane scale. Well, the scale's not so insane, but the ratings will be 1 to 5. I decided when I do classes or things of this ilk that can be rated, I'll also do that. So Barbarian. Of the martial classes, which I never really play, I like this one. Still, I lean more towards magic users. Your wizards, your druids, whatever. So I probably wouldn't play this in a campaign, but one shot, I actually have a plan for a Eton Barbarian where one of the heads is like a barbarian type, your sort of quintessential barbarian type, and the other is like a nerdy guy, but he's never listened to. So the class will be barbarian. One of the heads is very smart, just for role playing purposes. Probably says really smart things, but because the dumb barbarian head is large and in charge, he's never listened to. So there is fun that can be had with barbarians. There's no doubt. Just the character of going nuts with rage and smashing things. Hey, fun. But that being said, rating, I'm still going to go 2.9. 3 being my desire to play in a campaign. Yeah, that's the scale, and there we go. Let's move on to. Yes, from Aarakocra now to Aboleth. These things are scary, scary stuff. Not just for the challenge rating or some of the cool stuff they could do, like Mucus Cloud. If you are underwater and come across one of these things, it's not good. The general look of them. Oh yeah, let's get a good look at some of these. So they're just weird and otherworldly. And I think quite literally otherworldly. If you look into the lore of them, I think they sort of come from different realms than ours. Ours being the, Forgotten Realms. Telepathy. I do remember reading a book. It was a Drizzt Do'Urden. I don't know if I've ever said his name out loud. I probably have. Novel in which he ends up in a sewer at one point, and while working his way through, one of these guys has sort of enslaved a bunch of townsfolk. Oh, look at this. Enslaved. Well, there you go. And they were sort of living in the sewers and doing his bidding. And it was pretty creepy that just this thing just sort of sits there, gets people to do his bidding. He had quite a few, dozens of people. And then the scary thing there too is the fact that Drizzt and I forget who else was there at the time had to get by or stop them. But then there's that thing of, do you kill these people knowing that they're just normal folk who are enslaved by this, but they're preventing you from getting to it? So it offers up a lot of cool tactical stuff you can do, not to mention the fact that it has lair actions, meaning if you catch this out and about in the sea or wherever you might find one, it won't have these. But if you go to his home, if you go to his house, the Aboleth house, then he's going to have all these cool abilities that he wouldn't otherwise. Let's look at one of them. Pools of water with 90 feet, surge outward in a grasping tide. Ooh, that's kind of creepy. So it can sort of pull you in using its ability to control water. Wow, creepy. Regional effects. That's interesting. As I've been doing the show notes for this and seeing these sort of regional effects, it's usually for some of the more powerful monsters. I never realized that creatures sort of had these sort of abilities, if you call them abilities. And it's interesting because it can give your players clues to some of the monsters that might be in this area, which opens up an interesting idea for a Monster Hunter style campaign where it's just a totally open world, and you sort of describe, say, this sort of stuff, that these regional effects, and then they'll know potentially based on maybe rolls or actual reading, will know what monster could be in that area, and then prepare for that attack based on this knowledge that they may or may not have. Sort of a cool idea, and just creepy things. So let's move on to acid splash. Hurl of bubble of acid. If you listen to my last episode, you will know I like acid stuff because fire. I got a lighter over there. There's some ice cube. No big deal. Who cares? Lightning, electricity. Hey, I'm surrounded by electricity right now. No big deal. Acid. Where the hell is acid? I don't know. Do I have acid in this house? I don't even know. Maybe I do something I have stuff that's acidic. You want some orange juice? But no, this is serious acid. A bubble of acid. Choose one creature within range, or choose two creatures within range that are within 5 feet of each other. Dex save, 1d6 acid damage. Currently playing a gnome wizard who uses this spell. It's a cantrip, so cast at will. Now, my theory with this spell to use it well is I only use it if I can target 2 creatures within 5 feet, because 1d6 damage, we're at level 2 now, not a lot of damage, and the potential for it missing is existent, more so than with a magic attack. The reason I chose this one, though, is my character is always on the search for more knowledge, a knowledge seeker, if you will. So I only picked spells which could be used for that. So my theory with acid is, say if there's an old metal pot or tome or something old in metal that's been sort of encrusted with a rust or something to that effect, I could use my acid to sort of burn a little of it off and make it able for me to read it, that sort of idea. So all my spells I've sort of chose with that in mind. Oh yeah, did I do Aboleth? I forgot to rate Aboleth. See, episode 2, still working those bugs out. On that note, I wasn't going to say this, but I will now for a little behind the scenes action, which you won't get in those other shows that I love, D&D related ones. I actually forgot to hit the record button and recorded up until Monster, and then realized that I was basically just talking to myself in a room. Terrific. So Aboleth, I'd go like 4.397. My likelihood to use in a campaign. I really like sort of weird stuff like that. Like stuff like if I say dragon, you don't know what a dragon is. If I say unicorn, you know what that is. Like there's monsters that I can say and you'll know what they are. But if I say Aboleth, most people are going to be, what the hell is an Aboleth? So it adds a extra layer of what the hell is going on in this game. Why do I have to fight this thing? I'm going to die, which is fun. Acid Splash. Well, I am using it, so I should give it a high rating for that. But it is very situational. I think I would go... I do like the range. It allows me to keep away a little bit. Probably go just a 3, right down the middle 3. And it's going to depend if you're playing a character where having Acid Splash fits the roleplay of it, I think, a little bit. Or the bad guy. Yeah, if you can give it a bad guy who might use it, who's sort of burnt with acid, maybe. That's sort of a cool idea. He's been experimenting with various acids in his work. Acid Golem he made, maybe. That's insane. Okay, so what do we got for images? Oh, this one's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that one. Because it did say bubble, so imagine just throwing that. And then the thought that it's like all over your hands, but it's not doing anything to you. That's sort of very cool. Okay, so let's move to location.
I've touched your destination.
My destination of Mount Abbalayat. Yes, Mount Abbalayat was an isolated peak in the western Marching Mountains, famous for being the home of a race of oracles called the Abbalayar. So that makes sense. Yeah, oracles. Good in games for giving your players information. Can be used too much, I feel like, but if you're running out of ideas to have something your characters need to find out, Maybe have some sort who could relate. Useful, but try not to overuse it, I would say, of oracles. And on a mountain, that's sort of classic, almost like Skyrim, going up to the top of the mountain to gain information. So I do like that. So for that reason, rating wise for Mount Abbalayat, going to take a mark right off for the name right there. It's a ridiculous name. And we'll go. Oh, wait, let's look at the images. So it's near Kalishan. That's kind of fun. Marching Mountains, Spires of Mirror. We'll go a solid 3 as well. Yeah. Acid Splash, Mount Aboleth, right down the middle. Neither good nor bad. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go 2.9. Mount Aboleth. Take that. Okay, moving on to Scenario, yes. Combining the monster, combining the spell, combining Mount Abbalayat into one. Mount Abbalayat is home to a race of oracles called the Abbalayar. One of their number found out that using a modification to the cantrip Acid Splash could remove corrosion from ancient metal tablets that have been passed down among their order for generations. So what I did is sort of combined why my character is using it into this scenario. Once the corrosion was removed, it was revealed that the order was actually created by a mind-controlling Aboleth, and over the ages this connection has been forgotten. Ooh, my. So are they good? Are they bad? Were they at one time bad, but as they've moved away from this control to their own thing, maybe they're not as evil anymore, but there's still that nugget of evil within them that perhaps they don't even know exists? In fact, there's some evidence that the corrosion on the tablets may have been caused by the slime an Aboleth produces. Oh yeah, we did mention the slime. Now that this truth has been revealed, the oracles are looking for help finding this creature if it is still alive, and at the very least, they want to dig into the mystery of why it seemingly abandoned them. And Aboleth abandoned them? Oh my. Their oracle powers... See, how do they get those? Is it just like sort of clairvoyant spells? We have something that's your campaign better than Oracle powers. It's not all going to be winners. Seems to be blocked with regards to the Aboleth, which, if it was still alive, maybe that tentative enslave is still genetically in them, where they... Although it did say they live a long time, I think, these particular oracles. So you don't need that. He sort of built something into them where their clairvoyance type oracle powers are not able to pinpoint him or what happened with regards to that. Sort of an interesting idea. Some deep racial mind manipulation, but they do promise to use their powers for any questions you may need answering. Okay, yeah, perhaps in your main storyline. Okay, so kind of funny that the idea I came up with all sort of worked together with things I've already said, which I didn't plan, but... And then here's a picture of oracles for some reason. Okay, so let's pick one. What's a cool one? First thought, best thought, I think. Really? Yeah, pretty cool. The hat. Eye, the unseeing eye, the eyes without the pupils, because who knows what they're looking at. I do like it. Okay, let's move on to questions. Answers. Okay, got a short one today. Again, I put viewer in quotes until you, watching this, put a few questions down below, and then I'll take them from there. But until then, I just take them from Facebook groups where I will go in periodically and look for questions and try to give, hopefully, thoughtful answers. Okay, so one of my players found a purple gem that he has mounted in a socket of a pommel of his longsword. What ability does this gem grant? One thing I like about this question is socketed weaponry, socketed whatever. It's not something that all DMs use. I don't think it's even in the player's handbook. So it's sort of a thing this person has come up with. It exists obviously in the video game Diablo, which is kind of funny if you look right here. I just somewhat recently dusted off Diablo 3. So maybe that's why I chose this question subconsciously. I don't know. But here's my answer. Once a day, because of the purple, sort of, it struck me whenever I think of the color purple. Yeah. Once a day, it can summon a spectral bard named the Purple Prince for 1d4 rounds. This artist can give bardic inspiration and advantage on charisma rolls involving seduction. So obviously I'm referencing Prince, rest in peace. But maybe he doesn't have to die. Maybe he can come back in this spectral form and help out your party. Why not? Alright, folks, that's the end. We did it. We did it.
It's done!
It is done. Asking for likes and subscriptions and for you to subscribe is... it's not fun. I don't like doing it. So what I do instead is bribe for them. Yes. Likes help to grow the channel. For every 100 subscribers I get, I am going to personally donate to this organization here. TakeThis.org. A great organization helping those with mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety. One of the things I like about it is they sort of worked in the gaming aspect of it, and so it's sort of very near and dear to my heart. So I've also left links for, on top of my boring social medias, ignore that, go straight to TakeThis.org in the Underdark down below, and you can donate for yourself. So basically what I'm saying is if you don't like and subscribe, which is just clicking buttons, you're basically a non-style monster, because why not do it? Why not do it, folks? Because that's about it, other than for me to mumble the last few words, which is, it's nice to be nice to the dice.